We haven't done this in a while, have we?
No. It's going to be awkward.
Excellent. Let's do this. Welcome to Crimson Guitars and welcome to Guitar... I can't say that.
Now you've done on me.
I've done
This is
on
how
you.
I start.
Yeah, I think
Like
so.
6 of these.
We'll do it in 2. Or maybe
Okay.
3. Welcome to Crimson Guitars and welcome to Guitar Builders Basics video podcast. Luthiers, tips, tricks and training from me, Ben Crow.
And me, James Blackburn.
We are guitar buildery types
Yes.
at Crimson Guitars.
We are.
Well, I'm a guitar buildery type and you're a managery
Managing
type. Formerly guitar buildery type.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't say the word guitar buildery anymore. It feels really weird.
Guitar buildery.
Yeah. Anyway, this is episode 186. We have a rather interesting question. This actually came through on our Patreon page. And as I've already filmed a bunch of Patreon Q&As, and I think this is... Anyway, basically, I'm stealing a question from Patreon and putting it out here because it is really interesting and also incredibly difficult to answer. And that question is, how do we price up our work, specifically with guitars? And I brought James in for...
Comic effect.
Well, I'm not allowed to actually quote anybody anything anymore. Because I terminally underquote. Terminally. I mean, it nearly killed the company. Kind of, yeah, we could do that for $2,000. Ben, that's a £5,000 guitar. What? No, I enjoy doing it, therefore. So...
So $2,000 didn't even cover the hardware.
Well, this is it. So the first question is... I mean, well, the first thing is be very, very realistic. No matter how much you want, A, the work, or B, to build that particular guitar, quote realistically, figure out exactly how much it's actually going to cost you.
You got a lot of people don't, like, for instance, what you were doing, which is when you're on your own, which you don't quote for your time.
No,
So people
not
don't
very well.
quote for that. Yeah, or like they quote for the hardware is like 500 quid, and then they charge £1,000, and that means they're making 500 quid profit, which they're not accounting because they're on their own.
Yeah.
They're not
And
charging.
it's not profit.
Yeah, because you're paying for your time.
Exactly. So they're charging 500 quid for 3 weeks' work, which is a horrendous hourly rate.
Yeah.
And a lot of beginner guitar builders do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And just one person thing, because it's easy as a small company to be able to charge anywhere kind of less because you've got no overheads, but also you kind of like your wage at that point is your profit from the guitars, and if there is some, then that's good. So
if there's some you can eat.
yes, yeah,
It is very, very difficult making money in a guitar business, in the music industry, and at all, really.
the manufacturing side, I think,
Yeah.
the music industry, yeah.
We're not going to start talking about trying to make a living as a
musician.
pub musician, etc. But anyway, so realism is the most important thing. It really is. You need to know exactly how much it's costing you, how much your overheads are. And this sounds like the sort of stuff that I would never have listened to early on. My eyes just glazed over when I started Crimson. And now, well, you just handed me our yearly accounts this morning as I walked in, and I was actually excited to see what, yay! Mainly because I didn't have to put in any of the figures or anything.
Yes.
Somebody else did that, which is a really, really nice feeling. So that is it. Now, there is... So, for example, somebody brings in a custom guitar, James.
Yes.
Somebody wants us to build them a full-on master build
Yeah.
instrument. What is your process for working out a quote?
Obviously, there's wood and hardware, which are reasonably easier ones to do, because obviously it's what it costs. And then there's more of the difficult one, which is time. And it's a difficult one to quote for because
you have to believe the luthier.
Yeah, exactly. Is that obviously we have a certain bass and that's where it sticks from, and then we have a certain guitar that sticks from, and then extras we add on. So for instance, like if you're wanting something really simple where it has like an oil finish and like flat top, like Strat style, then we have like a set price for that, like $3,000 for instance. Or between 3 and 3,500 depending on what you want. And then it gets kind of difficult on then what you're after as kind of extras and things like that, like the true temperament stuff and the amount of time that goes into that.
Stop
and
saying true temperament.
And like
People will think we want to do more of
no, well, people are under the impression that we make them
Oh,
for some reason.
seriously, no.
Which I get a lot of emails, which we don't at all.
We are not anything to do with the true temperament system, nor do we endorse, nor even particularly like it.
No, it's just difficult to.
Comment below.
Yeah, it's difficult to install. And maybe that should be a video on its own. Maybe you should grab Christopher for that.
What? Just a video of him sitting behind a bench, silently sobbing.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about the true temperament system. No.
Yeah. But it's a difficult thing because the time is the main thing. And so, for instance, when I'm doing something, I'll go through the specs and come up with how long I think it will take, and then I'll go down and speak to Christopher or Tom, usually Christopher, and go through the whole specs, and I'll give him the sheet for him to go through, and then he'll come up with his quote, and we'll talk through.
And Christopher's generally pretty good on the timing.
Yeah.
If James does that to me and says, "How long will that take you, Ben?" He says, "Yes, fine, okay, cool, I understand, Ben." Then he goes away and he doubles the figure.
You're great for that. Oh, I can do that in 5 minutes. It's like 2 hours later.
Yeah. And
you're better
that
now.
is,
You're miles
I'm a lot
better now. Yeah.
But that's the problem. So, for example, I built that really interesting. It was a dual neck 6-string guitar, 6-string bass that detached from itself to become individual instruments. It probably took me 4 or 5 months to build that instrument.
And the other thing that we haven't touched on is design work on that. Because on that particular guitar and others we've built, is that it's not only your building time that you've got to think, you've got to, especially with that, there's a lot of design, somewhat prototyping work going into that.
There was a lot of prototyping on that. I lost thousands of pounds making that guitar. And I still had to deliver it, obviously, from a moral point of view, etc. You can't go to most customers and say, "Well, I kind of underquoted you." They'll say, "Well, you quoted me."
Yeah.
And that's it. So be very, very, very careful.
There's no time when, unless it's a change in hardware or something like that, or a change in style, where we never quote something. If that stays all the way through, then that's what comes out the other end.
Yeah.
I've
said it, at times, if the customer comes and changes their mind on a material part of the build, i.e. a different number of frets or whatever, especially once you've started the build, then there have to be financial penalties.
Yeah, we usually lock in specs.
We try and help.
Yeah, we usually lock in specs and we give enough time for people to decide and go back and forth. But once the build starts, we're usually very much.
You just can't change it.
Like a change in we haven't carved the neck yet, and he pops in and shows us a neck, and actually that's changed from something there. Mm-hmm. That's not an issue, or a change in pickups. Really, as long as there's no extreme cost difference, then it doesn't matter. They'll pay the difference in price. Yeah.
Fundamental change in scale length. I've had people do that. I've had people do that, and as a small businessman, I'm remembering. We are still a small business technically, but I'm remembering doing everything I possibly could to make the customer happy, to the detriment of myself, my sanity, and our back pocket.
There's a 50-50. There's a perfect mix of in between. Is that actually there's a point to say no.
Yeah.
Which is when it's costing you more money than...
Absolutely.
Or you're not making any money.
This is it. Now, the final thing that I want to touch on really is the quality of what you're actually doing. I see budding luthiers who are making substandard guitars or beginners guitars. Let's put it that way. That's a nice way of saying it. Who are doing what James said. They're basically saying, well, it cost me £500 to make in hardware and pickups, etc. I'm going to charge £800 and then I've made £300 for my time. If you are only charging £800 or £1,000 for a handmade guitar, and we're about to insult a lot of people here, people are going to think that it's only worth £800 or £1,000. The very first thing you need to do and you need to look at is the quality of your work, and you have to be realistic about this. If you aren't spending more time in the last 5% of the build, if you aren't getting a professional level finish and an instrument that is playing absolutely properly, then you shouldn't be charging for your work at all, really. And this is going into the whole "should I start a guitar business" question. Should anybody start a guitar business?
I don't want to say no. It's difficult. That's very. It's like a whole video on that because
That's a whole series.
Yeah, it's. You're gonna lose quite a bit of money before you make anything, and you've got to be turning out a decent amount of guitars and charging a decent price, and obviously not making any mistakes on the way through to make a decent living out of it. And people do on their own make a very decent living out of it.
And most of those people have something else that they do. Beard repairs for half of their week.
I thought you said beard repairs.
Beard repairs, I mean... I'm not gonna try. Let's stop talking about that.
Repairs.
Be it repairs or writing books, for example, or a real job.
So the pricing repairs on that note is essentially, because repairs are
intangible.
mostly time tends to be time, and we have a set workshop hourly price that we charge for time, and that's how long it takes. We usually, if we quote for something and it takes more, we usually won't charge any more than that because that's what we've quoted. That's our fault.
Unless we found something.
Yeah, unless there's an issue, in which case we ring the customer and we say, we found this, we can do this or this with it, it's going to cost this much more.
Yeah.
And we'll never do anything extra unless the customer says so, because that's an awful thing to come back to and have an extra 200 quid to pay.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is at the end.
The what you need to say there is it's about respecting the customer, respecting the wallet, treat them like you want to be treated. Just to go back to my last point about quality and final finish and that, if you are getting the sort of quality that you would see in a guitar shop, then you need to be quoting the same sort of prices that you see other people who are making handmade guitars at that level. Otherwise, you're devaluing yourself and you're going to lose customers because they're going to think, well, if this is half the price of my other local luthier, they're obviously half as good. And I know a lot of you want to build lots of guitars. Hell, I wanted to build lots and lots of guitars and quoted accordingly. But it is much better to charge twice as much, build half as many, but build them twice as well. I think that all worked out.
Yeah. Well, you've got the main thing you're touching on there is reputation. Is that you build a reputation, you have to keep it.
Absolutely.
Because as soon as you, especially as a small luthier, as soon as you lose that reputation, a few people say things, that spreads quickly. Because people, I'm sure everyone watching this knows, guitar forums. What do you do when you find a new company? Usually you search it online, it'll come up on the guitar forum, this and that, and everything. And
people do cut you some slack as a beginner, but how you deal with that and the quality of what you put out and how you deal with issues as well is a big one. This has turned into a much bigger conversation than we were planning.
For a while.
But there we go. It's a difficult one. The most important thing is make the guitar as good as you possibly can, and if it is not good enough to be hanging in a guitar shop, then it's not really good enough to sell.
Yeah. If you're not happy, I always say with a hand built guitar that I have never been 100% happy with guitar. Yeah, you never get there, but if you put it up next to something and you're like, that
I'm embarrassed by a lot of the guitars that I built in my early career, and that is not a good thing to be. It's not.
I think everyone would be. I think Christopher's got an unfair advantage. With
what? He's just brilliant.
Well, no, that he went to the best guitar building school in the world.
I went to the best school in building early Baroque instruments. In the planet.
But you didn't build guitars there.
I didn't. No.
So he obviously built guitars there, and not a very watchful eye.
The difference is, and we've had people, we know people who've been to Roberto Venn who aren't very good.
Yes, yeah.
I was at West Dean College.
Amazing.
Christopher is amazing, yeah. I was at West Dean College where if I had applied myself rather than gigging and all the naughty things I did in those years, I would be a much better luthier now than I was. And it's a lot to do with you and your work ethic, really. But quality. Precision in all things. And in the end, benchmark yourself against other people who you think you are like. And hell, we undercharge in that in some of our guitars actually, because
it's like kind of being reasonable and competing. There is a point of that comes in, but you've got to remember, if you're building guitars in this country, you're not competing with stuff coming from the Far East. You've got, like, there's no, I don't want to say there's no point competing there, because it's a dangerous area to compete. You've got to remember that at that price, at the £800 to £1,000 they came from Korea, and they're having like bare knuckle pickups on, and Floyd Roses, and all named hardware, which we tried at that price and couldn't compete.
Not at all.
Hardware wise, or I mean, the quality was nothing on the quality. It's just we couldn't do what we wanted at that price.
No.
So why? I mean, it was a mistake to try and compete there. We can compete other places.
My fault.
Oh no. It'd be great to be able to.
It would be awesome if we could make £1,000 guitar.
Yeah.
We just can't. So anyway, look, that's it. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
I think that went a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So what's this video called now? How to quote your work and various other guitar business advice.
I think also people are going to pick up the fact that you've been putting your hand in sawdust and touching your face.
Have I?
Yeah.
That's quite hilarious. Well, there we go. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I'm not going to throw the sawdust at you. It's carcinogenic. If you have any questions for the Guitar Builders Basics video podcast, please put them in the comments below. We need your input. And if you have any other tips and tricks, a lot of people who watch this are already professional builders and repair persons, etc. Let us know what you think and what you do, because this is a fairly nebulous subject and it's quite difficult to do. But there we go. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe. Please support our podcast. And
check us out online.
Check us out online. We're on YouTube.
And I feel the need to say something.
Okay, fair enough. What was that? Beard Repairs. We're going to start a new website, beardrepairs.com.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon. Cheerio.